Okay, so in this video, I'm just going to add a little something to what I did in the last video. So I want to look at the open market operations using a T account. So I'm doing the exact same thing I did before. I kind of drew it like a flow chart, but here now we're going to use a T account. So remember, the T account is something to show the assets. I'll use A for assets and the liabilities of the bank. Okay, so let's suppose we'll start with this. We'll call this 1. This is before, right? This is the situation for the bank. So let's suppose the bank has 200 million in deposits, and in reserves it has 20 million. So okay, and it has it owns 30 million of these T-bills, and it has 200 million of loans. And then we find the net worth of the bank by adding up the assets and subtracting the liabilities. So the net worth is 50 million. Okay, so this is the idea. Now, the next thing is, well, suppose the Fed buys, so this is some bank, right? So the Fed buys, let's say 10 million. So these are all in millions in these T-bonds. Right? So the Fed buys them off this bank. So let's look at how this balance sheet is going to change. So all the parts that don't change, I'll keep, and everything that changes, I will change. Okay, so, well, the deposits, I'm going to shorten this up a little bit. Deposits doesn't change, but now the reserves change and the bonds change. Okay, so how do they change? Well, before reserves were 20 and bonds were 30, and now they're changing. They're changing because they sold their bonds, right? This is the bank. So this balance sheet we're talking here is like B of A. Okay, we can call this can be the B of A. So we can make this from Bank of America. Okay, so so they sold 10, so they only have 20 left, and they got money from the Fed, so they gained 10 in reserves, so now they have 30 reserves. And then the other part is the same. Their loans didn't change yet. Okay, so loans are 200, and actually their net will also be the same, is 50, just like before. Okay, so now what's going to happen next? So that's the starting point. So this is the key idea. They gain the reserves, right? We can see this gain of reserves. We can see it going on right there. Okay. Now the third thing, and I'm not going to draw too far. Now B of A can loan these excess reserves. These are new reserves. They didn't need to have them, so now they can loan them. Okay, so the B of A is going to loan them. So let's just put this part in our balance sheet before we stop. So assets and liabilities, again, we're going to draw all the parts that were there before. So the reserves are 30, and the bonds are now 20, and the loans are 200, and okay, so on. Now, they're going to lend out these extra reserves. So now they're going to take these extra reserves, and they're going to lend out, sorry, I should have put 10. They're going to lend out 10 million. So they got these extra reserves, so now they're going to lend them out. And so this is going to increase their loans. So now the loans are 210, and now the reserves are back to 20, right? Now, so far, the bank didn't make a profit yet, or didn't make more profit. The net is still 50. Now, why would the bank do this? Well, when they're sitting on the reserves, they're not getting anything. At least traditionally, they're not, and they can make profit by loaning out. Now, it won't happen until they actually the borrower starts paying back with interest, for example, right? So then to carry this forward, so if you have lots of banks getting reserves, then you'll have lots more loans happening, right? So if the loan is redeposited in other banks, it will be multiplied. Okay. So anyways, hope it will be multiplied. So anyways, hopefully that makes sense. I would suggest you try going through it the other way on. So you start with the same part A with the B of A balance sheet, but instead of the Fed buying T-bonds from T-bills from B of A, you can have the Fed selling T-bills to the B of A. Okay, and then you just go through everything in the reverse, and you should, in fact, find out that the B of A will have to reduce its total amount of lending. So I also strongly suggest you take a look at the textbook for this section because they also walk through an example in a very step-by-step, clear way.